Most species treat war as a form of ballet, and design their weapons to be flashy and dramatic. Humans design their weapons for efficiency. Klaus, Grand Admiral of the Crony Fleet, preened as he stood upon the bridge of the Indominator, gazing out through the viewport. Out in the void, although he couldn't see more than half of them, cruised the pride and honor of his race. Countless battles had it waged against lesser fleets, and unmarred it had won each and every one. Today, he could feel in his dorsal spines, would be another such day. Space combat in the galaxy had moved on from such puerile matters as actually blowing up one another's ships. It was now all about who could muster the greatest amount of strength and display it most engagingly. The message was very much, I could blow you up, but I haven't, so surrender now before I change my mind. And it worked. Especially for the Kron. The victor in every such battle was free to demand punitive reparations from the loser, which usually included signing on as a vassal state, a tithe of resources from their world in perpetuity, and so forth. As such, it was a very profitable state of affairs for them to declare war upon any new race that managed to muster the technology to achieve FTL flight. Such races simply didn't have the resources or the fortitude to face a higher tech enemy in battle, and surrendered at the first opportunity. The latest newcomer race called themselves Terrans or humans. Klaus didn't care either way. He'd personally given the order for one of his battlecruisers to go to their homeworld and strafe a couple of their cities, then transmit the declaration of war. It had worked, the Terrans were on the way. For a newly emergent race, he was a little impressed at the size of the fleet they were bringing with them, though it held fewer than a quarter of the number of the ships in his armada. Did they even intend to put up a fight, or would this be a quick surrender after the first pass? He rather suspected the latter, given the lack of decoration on their vessels. All hands to battle stations. It really wasn't his place to give that order, but by the great egg, he loved to do it, so Captain Crowley could go rattle his spine somewhere else. The crew of the Indominator quickly dashed to their places, though he could almost feel the smug complacency that permeated the ship nearly as thoroughly as it did his very being. They were good at their jobs. Good at winning. He was proud of them. Transmit orders, Formation 1-1. The battle fleet formed up around the Indominator in the classic reaching claw formation which had brought them victory in battle after battle. Opposite, the Terrans didn't seem to be seeking any particular dramatic formation. Klaus frowned. This wasn't going to be much of a victory if they weren't even going to try. Still, it wasn't his job to show the opposing admiral how to fight. He was there to show the Terrans that they were there to lose. Raising his fist, he brought it forward. Staggered attack, squadron by squadron. Go. The order wasn't really necessary, but once again, he liked to give it. Raising their shields, which were tuned to respond to enemy attacks with great rainbow light shows of energy, his ship started forward. Their pulse weapons blasted out, splashing against the shields of the Terran ships, no light shows there, which was very poor form, as the squadron streamed past, keeping impeccable formation. It wasn't easy, and it always served to unnerve whatever uncivilized races he faced. As the last of the attack squadrons looped around and slotted back into place in the reaching claw formation, Klaus made a beckoning gesture. Your move. Are you going to reply, or surrender now? The Terrans replied, but not in any civilized way. Splitting apart into several fluid elements, they darted forward, at far greater boost than any of the attack squadrons had used. Klaus scoffed, what race could stand such gravitational forces and still keep a clear head for an attack run? As each element wove around one of the four spurs of the reaching claw, it became clear that Terrans were one such race. And then something else became clear. The Terrans opened fire on the attack squadrons, but their shots didn't splash harmlessly off the Crony shields. Pulse weapons, kinetic kill weapons and actual nuclear bombs smashed through the shields and destroyed the ships within. Frozen in shock, Klaus watched as the pride of Kron was obliterated. Even those ships which raised their shields to hard max and tried to maneuver out of the way were hunted down and hammered to flaming scrap. His eyes wide, he saw the four elements merging to swarm toward Indominator and her attendant battlecruisers. He couldn't run, not against ships with that sort of acceleration. And with the damage they were dealing, not one of his ships would survive, even if they did take a few Terrans with them. The battle was lost. If he wanted to live, there was only one thing he could do. Signal surrender. He screeched. If you value your lives, we must surrender now. As the message went out and the Terran ships slowed, he tasted the bitterness of defeat. How had it even come to this? He was the most preeminent admiral in the Crony fleet, and the Kron were the most adept players of the game of war in the galaxy. Everyone had assumed that the Terrans played by the same rules.